Hi, my name is Nature Reap, and today I'm talking about why Roe vs. Wade being overturned was good for American citizens. This is the most significant change in women's rights since our ability to vote in the 1920s. That's a long time. Over half the population in the US is female, biologically female. You are either a female yourself or you happen to know one in your family as a mom, relative, or friend. Because of that reason, this conversation is very important and it affects you directly no matter who you are. I understand that a lot of people don't like politics and that they don't really care about the policies or things like that. However, your individual right to vote and your individual right to have a voice of your own is very important, and that is exactly what Roe and Wade was about. In my speech, I'm going to talk about why Roe versus Wade was overturned, why it's good for you, and why it is very important that we have the rights that we do. Laura Temple, on March 24, 2023, posted an article titled, Why Roe vs. Wade Was Overturned. In this article, she stated, the Supreme Justice viewed Roe vs. Wade for a second time as an overreach of the Supreme Court and the federal government. Roe vs. Wade came to the conclusion of being overturned on June 24, 2022. This is good for American citizens because it gives the power back to the states, which then overturns it to the people. Imagine if conservatives on June 24, 2022 wrote, the original case ruled that the federal government cannot place any form of government in the way of a woman's right to an abortion. This statement was going to turn into a loophole that many states used to pass their own laws, which then banned abortion. One of these cases was Texas SB 8. This law stated that each individual citizen could have the right to sue people, doctors, or medical personnel that help anybody get an abortion. This was a loophole because technically the state government of Texas was not placing anything in the way of abortions. A lot of people did not like this law, so they decided to sue, and this made it all the way up to the Supreme Justice. This is one of 5 cases that had to do with abortion and the state law and the wording of Roe versus Wade. With this law, they saw that there was a loophole and that they were going to have to make a different decision on Roe versus Wade or redo that case. When they went back to Roe versus Wade, they saw that the Constitution did not have enough support to give this right to all Americans based on just the Constitution. The Supreme Court did not have an opinion on the matter because they are not opinionated. They simply did not have enough factual evidence and constitutional support to allow this to be upheld by the federal government. I think this was a good decision by our government because it brings power back to our Constitution. I can stand here and tell you that it's about morals and all of that. However, it's not. This is factual. Roe versus Wade was overturned based on the evidence that the Constitution cannot provide that right for every American. I think this is good because it gives us the ability to vote on it per state. Each 50 states has our own state government, and we each vote for state regulations each year. When the overturn happened, it came back to the states and their rights of what their people want. The people of California voted to keep abortions in the state of California. However, other states were allowed the right to vote differently. This gives the people more of a voice and gives us the power, which is what our government is all about. The United States government is the longest lasting original legislation. This is because we believe in a democracy where the people's voices have been heard by each level of government. NPR, a national news source, stated that the overturn of Roe versus Wade would place women in harm's way and they would not have the right to get an abortion. With such a heated matter, clearly after it was been overturned over a year ago, there's a lot of people talking about how women are not going to have the medical rights. However, when the overturn versus Roe versus Wade happened, President Biden on June 24, 2022, on a national broadcast stated this was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law. He went on to continue to say how he did not support it, however, that he could see the constitutional support behind the overturn. This is good because this shows that even though people are worried about women's rights, that it's not based on each individual case, it's based on the state's wants. Many other things that are supported by this show, like gun control. Gun control is voted on. Federal, state has regulations, however, each state has different rules, just as abortion will. The federal government will support medical abortions, and each state will be able to base their regulations off of that. This, in the end, will bring power back to the people and power back to each individual person. That's why I believe Roe vs. Wade being overturned was good for all American citizens, including everyone in this class.